Okay, it is time to talk about the rest of the games I played in 2025 that did not come out in 2025. If you have not watched my 2025 ranked video, please watch that. And the current tier list on the screen will make sense. But every year, I rank every new release, and then I go back and I weave in all of the games that came out in other years that I played this year to create a comprehensive, cumulative list of games I completed in the year. This year, I finished 57 games, and we have ranked 20-something of them. I don't remember. I lost count already. But this is the tier list of games I played in 2025, and hopefully this next list of games that came out before 2025, but I played this year, will rank interestingly in relation. Let's go. I'm just gonna jump in and just start throwing things on. I'm gonna save Sonic for last, probably, because we played a lot of Sonic this year. We did a year of Sonic the Hedgehog, sort of. It was meant to be a year of Sega, but it was a lot of Sonic the Hedgehog. Life is Strange Double Exposure is a C-tier game. I am a noted lover of Life is Strange. I really like those characters. I really like that world. Life is Strange Double Exposure is simultaneously a interesting and unique sequel to Life is Strange and Before the Storm. It is also the worst Life is Strange game, but it's still not bad. If you like Life is Strange, this is more Life is Strange. You get to see Adult Max. And without spoilers, they really are setting up the Avengers of Life is Strange. So if that sounds cool to you, you can watch it. Hollow says, even worse than Before the Storm? I like Before the Storm. I think Before the Storm is interesting. So even with its issues, I would probably put Before the Storm somewhere around the same rank, but yeah. Gray says, am I planning on doing another franchise marathon at some point? Always. I'm always doing them. I'll probably finish all the Silent Hills eventually. Yeah. I'll figure it out. I mean, it's just one of those things that happened. We'll see. Okay. Next game. Hollow says Life is Strange 1, True Colors 2, Before the Storm. Yeah, so that's probably also my rating. I really love True Colors, but I also really like Life is Strange 2, so that's where I am. Jet Set Radio Marathon to get the other Sega franchise. Yeah, that could be interesting to play those. I kind of don't like the first Jet Set Radio very much. I think it's kind of boring and controls poorly. But I really like Future, and I'm interested in the remake. So we'll see. Maybe I will play through all those. All right. Oh, but I'll get copyright struck, though, if I stream it, probably. So maybe not. I'm not sure. Maybe Phantasy Star? We'll see. Okay. Let's talk about other games I played. I'm going to pick a weird one. Princess Crown. Princess Crown was technically part of my year of Sega. And because it was a Sega Saturn exclusive Atlas game by the team that would go on to form Vanillaware. And it's going to go in C tier under Life is Strange, but above RuneScape Dragon Wilds. Princess Crown is extraordinarily beautiful and has a fun story and great music. But unfortunately, it is really tedious and really overlong, and combat never evolves. Once you've beaten one fight in Princess Crown, you have played the next 50 hours of fights in Princess Crown. So this game was obviously a proof of concept. It was Kamitani George's debut release, his directorial debut. The art is incredible. The English translation, the fan translation that came out was really good. And just like as an audio visual experience, it's like pretty fucking amazing. The only problem is just that it's really tedious. This game also wants you to do multiple playthroughs after a 50-hour-long playthrough. Granted, the second characters that you play, their playthroughs are much shorter, but it is mostly retreading what you already knew about the game, which is kind of tiresome. And again, like getting the true ending, you're just doing more combat that you've already done a million times. And the enemies repeat themselves very frequently, and you start doing a lot of backtracking through the areas, and there's a lot of random encounters, and it just is kind of a little tiresome by the end, because it just never evolves past that. But as a directorial debut, it is a very interesting game, and you can go on and see a lot of the Vanillaware ethos that gets cultivated throughout their games in Princess Crown. This game was Japan exclusive for like 30 years, 25 years. No, 30 years, I think. I think it came out in 96 or 97. Maybe 98, I don't remember. So it's worth that alone for just seeing kind of how it influenced Japanese game developers going forward from that point. Really cool game. If you like Vanillaware, highly worth playing. Okay. Let's get to some heavy hitters. Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom. Yellow Taxi Goes Vroom is a really cool puzzle platformer with a retro aesthetic where you play as an RC car. How that works is really intriguing. But I think the game suffers a little bit because it constantly is putting you on time limits. Sorry, I had to open my door. There we go. The game is constantly putting you on time limits, which really hinders your ability to like explore environments, which is a bummer because this is a very difficult platformer where you have to use an unorthodox control scheme. And like the joy in this game comes from learning the control scheme and learning how to do really cool things in it. But unfortunately, it feels like the game is kind of constantly working against you in that regard because it just wants you to move really fast, which makes sense. It's a car platformer. But that's the one thing that I found kind of frustrating is that like all the cool puzzle levels just put you on a time limit and they make you kind of want to zoom around, and that kind of frustrated me. But otherwise, really great platformer. Really, really great platformer. You guys want to talk about another really great platformer? It Takes Two. Guys, it's as good as people said it was. I don't know if I would have given it Game of the Year like 2 or 3 years ago when it came out, but Blazer and I played it and we loved it. It Takes Two was awesome. Really, really inventive. It's basically just Split Fiction again. But I'm gonna put Split Fiction probably above Tinted Grail actually. It's just Split Fiction again. Or I guess it was Split Fiction before Split Fiction, but its mechanics are a little tighter. Its narrative is a little bit tighter. It's a very friendly game. It's it's got a great story and the soundtrack is amazing. It is a lot clearer about what it wants to be, and the result of that focus is that it is a lot sharper than Split Fiction. It was a very funny, zany game, and it's got a lot of heart, and I do kind of feel like Split Fiction is just Hazelight doing It Takes Two again, but slightly less good. I did love Split Fiction. I just liked It Takes Two more. Speaking of other goofy co-op games that I played that did not come out this year, but I did play it with Blazer, Chained Together. This game is slop, but it was the first game I played with Blazer. We played it the first time he ever came over my house. And it was fun. And that was kind of our first date, sort of. But as a game, it's kind of garbage. It's cute, but it's garbage. You know what I mean? So, enjoy that. There's really nothing more to say about it. What else do I want to talk about? Let's talk about another game I played with Blazer. I played Clock Tower for the first time. Honestly, maybe like right here. So Clock Tower is often pointed to as like one of the progenitors of survival horror. I don't know if I actually agree with that. I definitely see it as the progenitor of escape horror, but for the most part, Clock Tower is just a point-and-click adventure with a pursuer enemy. But as a point-and-click adventure, it's actually a really solid point-and-click adventure. Pretty quick to go through. An original, a first-time run of the game takes like close to 4 or 5 hours, maybe, with deaths and resets. But once you understand how to like go through it all the way, it only takes about an hour to go through. Getting all the endings is a little weird because some of it is like just pure RNG. But I love this game. I thought it was really fun. Blazer and I co-commentated it. Trying to puzzle it out and figure out kind of how to play it was really cool. We played Clock Tower Rewind, which is the remaster, re-release of the original SNES Clock Tower. So for those who got started with Clock Tower on the PlayStation in the US, that is actually Clock Tower 2nd, which is the sequel to this game. But it is really tight. It's sort of like Luigi's Mansion. As LeBaron says, it's a game that you go in to play and like experiment and see kind of what works and what doesn't. Obviously, when you were trying to do a completionist let's play like me and Blazer did, you start seeing through the seams a little bit pretty quickly, and you just see exactly where the script is in the game. But some of the RNG elements do make it kind of interesting. In a world before the internet, Clock Tower, I could imagine being like a really cool playground recess game where you talk to people and go, oh, in my run, I got poisoned by the lady when I drank the cup. But in my run, she wasn't there, and the girl was in the armor, and that's crazy. Really neat game, really cool experiment. Heavily influenced by giallo horror, which is really cool. If you like Dario Argento, it's basically Phenomena with a guy that runs around with scissors. So there you go. That's Clock Tower Rewind. Man, there are a lot of really big stinkers on this list and a lot of really heavy hitters on this list. I'm going to talk about Cryptmaster. Cryptmaster is probably like here. No, maybe like here. Yeah, like there. Cryptmaster is cool. Cryptmaster is the best edutainment game I've ever played. It is a typing game with lots of wordplay and wordplay puzzles, with a really interesting world and story. You do turn-based combat, sort of in ATB-esque real time, by typing out commands that take certain action points, and you increase your skill set by recalling words, by playing Hangman, basically. And you interact with everything in the game by typing out the letters. The Cryptmaster himself is surprisingly reactive. It is extremely funny. It's very clever. It is just a really cool game. Just a really, really cool game. Again, it's like an indie dev game. Like, I don't remember how big the team was, but it's got to be like less than 10 people. It might have just been 3 guys. I don't really remember. I'm sorry about that. But really cool visual aesthetic as well. So yeah, if you like cool experimental typing of the dead-esque games with cool stories and funny writing, definitely give Cryptmaster a try. It reminds me of a lot of the sardonic fiction, that has gotten popular recently. So, yeah. Okay. Let's get some more. I'm having a lot of fun talking about games I really like, but I do have some like kind of hot take stinkers that I have to put on here that I don't really want to talk deeply about. Okay. Omori. Where do I want to put it? D or C? Probably C. So, Omori is a mess. Omori is so long. Omori is like a 20-hour game that needed to be like 4 hours long. Really rote JRPG mechanics, even with their baton pass mechanic in fights. Omori is 70% escapist narrative that is mostly superfluous, redundant fluff that doesn't actually serve much of a ludonarrative purpose. 20% really good storytelling. 10% okay escapist fantasy storytelling that is important to the actual narrative. This game is the edgy, dark, narrative horror RPG maker, child of Earthbound by Omocat. This game was in development for like a million years. I backed the original Kickstarter in like 2011, or whenever it launched. Playing it after hearing so much about it was extremely disappointing. This game has like a legendary status as being like incredibly brutal and heartrending and so effective, but I mostly was bored because the game wants to delve into the twee fantasy the character escapes into to hide from confronting the truth of his real world. But the problem is that the character's real world is infinitely more interesting than the escapist fantasy. And all of the twee-isms did not make me like the characters. In fact, I felt the characters were pretty poorly developed for the most part. And the contrast between their real world and the escapist fantasy was never particularly compelling outside of the first time reveal that the escapist fantasy was a fantasy world and the real world was a sad, future life of these kids that this main character is imagining having a good childhood with. And that is a bummer. The conditions of getting the true ending or whatever are pretty arcane and weird, and I thought I achieved them, but I guess we didn't. I played this with Keith on Keith's channel. The whole Let's Play is there if you want to hear our opinions on it. I got so distracted while playing it all the time because it was both extremely boring and I was very busy. Cut anything involving Princess Sweetheart and Omori might only be 2 to 6 hours. It's true. That is absolutely true. Princess Sweetheart is nonsense. It's got good boss fights and good art and really good music, but it just, like, Omori is the quintessential game that could truly just be a webcomic or a movie, and you would lose nothing from the experience game. I know a lot of people are like, oh, just make whatever art you want to make. If you want to make a game, just make a game. I'm not trying to yuck anyone's yum, but the medium matters as much as the presentation. Maybe put a little bit of thought into why you're making a game instead of just making it a webcomic or like a movie. You know what I mean? Or a book. I bet Omori would be a great book. That's my take on Omori. Motortown. Motortown is a systems-driven simulation driving game that is co-op and multiplayer. It is cute and fun to fuck around in for an hour or two. We streamed it a few times with like 13 people, and we made a self-sustaining economy in a small town in Korea, I think. There's nothing else to say. You do odd jobs and you drive around a lot. That is it. It is a surprisingly deep car game. Yume Nikki was a replay for me, but I introduced all the guys to it, and we played it online. I know Keith didn't really like this game. I think it's pretty arresting and interesting and cool. I put it in B tier. I think it is very important to understand that as a child of Earthbound, this was the progenitor of the entire genre of children of Earthbound. Yume Nikki is a arresting and halting, confronting horror game, perhaps one of the best indie horror games ever made. It is audacious and brave for making you just confront a world that refuses to explain itself. And then ending on a grim note that recontextualizes everything you've seen and makes you think about it. The gameplay loop of Yume Nikki is walking around and looking at things, and that is the whole Ludo narrative. It is a dream, and you are meant to dream it. This is my David Lynch impression, and he would have loved Yume Nikki. So I highly recommend playing Yume Nikki. It is extremely highly recommended. LP of that on my and Keith's channel if you just want to look at our kind of guided museum tour of that game. Let's see. What else do I want to talk about? I'm going to talk about System Shock 2. Okay, champ, we're playing Japanese video games today. Okay, let's talk about System Shock 2. System Shock 2 is the definitive ImSim other than Deus Ex. This game is 3/4 of a really incredible open-ended video game and 1/4 of a terrible corridor shooter. And that bums me out because the last fourth of System Shock 2 is really, really gratingly bad. It is bad in the way that people claim Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines' last act is really bad, but it might be worse in System Shock 2. Because at least VTMB still has interesting story and things to say in its last fourth, and you can, like, make the game work. Whereas in System Shock 2, the enemies endlessly respawn, and there are not a lot of resources, and half your skills don't matter, and the story gets really, really bad near the end. The final boss sucks. The Many is really dumb and bad. And just the last gauntlet of, like, running through infested areas is extremely tiring and ammo intensive. And yeah, like, just stop playing, like, after the cool transmitter puzzle and you're probably good. You probably have seen everything there is to see in System Shock 2. So that's how I feel about that game, but I'm very glad I played it. I still think I like System Shock 1 more, because I think that Shodan is more interesting in System Shock 1, and the escalation of stakes and the amount of tasks that you do is more variant in System Shock 1. So I really want a System Shock 2 remake. I'm curious to see how the team approaches that. Because if it's as good as the System Shock 1 remake, it will solve all of my problems with System Shock 2. Okay. Time Spinner. Time Spinner is a fucking excellent Metroidvania. It is the closest to Symphony of the Night in a video game I have played since maybe the DS-Vanias. Time Spinner has incredibly good art, an interesting story, just enough character side quests to make the backtracking fun and interesting. It is not particularly grindy. All of the weapons feel substantially different from each other. You use all of your abilities, and it's got great exploration. The levels are not too long, and they're not too short either. As a game overall, it's about 6 hours long, which is kind of maybe the perfect length for like a small, ambitious Metroidvania made by like a single person. The sequel to Time Spinner is one of my most anticipated games of the next few years. I love it. If you like Symphony of the Night and have been craving a Symphony of the Night-esque, Castlevania-esque Metroidvania, this is the one, guys. This is very Castlevania. It is a well-made meal, and it is two Metroidvanias in the same way, or I should say, it is to Castlevania the way that Axiom Verge is to Metroid. If that doesn't sell you on Time Spinner, as a Castlevania fan, I don't know what to give you. Bloodborne, I guess. What do we want to rank now? Let's get Guild Wars out of the way. That's probably about right for Guild Wars. Guild Wars is not an MMO. It is a co-op adventure game. And when I say adventure, I don't mean like a point-and-click adventure. I mean a co-op, you go on an adventure game that is masquerading as an MMO. Its skill and class systems are surprisingly deep. I like that they are limited. A remaster of this game came out this year and really screwed up my Steam Wrapped. But I played Guild Wars with Co-op, Brew, and Blazer, and I enjoyed it. We only cleared the base campaign, and we're getting to the expansions, but we didn't go through all of them. I liked it. My issue with it is that the class and skills system is actually pretty arcane. The build craft is very interesting and impressive, but it is secretly a deck builder. Guild Wars is like Magic the Gathering, where you collect cards that you use as your skills, and then you slot them into your hotbar, and you make a class out of that by building a deck out of skills. And I am bad at that. There are too many numbers, it is too overwhelming, and I cannot play it. It is entirely a skill issue, but I can appreciate Guild Wars for the timeless piece of sort of MMO design that it is. And that it stands for. I do wish more MMOs were as adventurous as it, but I played Guild Wars 2 as well, but not enough to rank on this list. I originally put it on my list of games and then was like, I'm going to take it off. I did not play enough to give it a rating, but my take on Guild Wars 2 is that Guild Wars 2 is much more MMO than Guild Wars 1, and as a result, I liked it less. Okay. Let's talk about Gex. Gex 1 is a really bad platformer, guys. It's really bad. It was originally made for the 3DO. Its controls are terrible. You can tell it was made for the 3DO. It is a bad game. It has really huge, terrible levels, and trying to get all the remotes and collect all the things on them is so tedious. Gex is to Gex as Sonic 2 is to Sonic. It is a gigantic waste of my life. Gex Enter the Gecko is probably the best Gex game. I liked it. It's Gex in 3D. Going through all the levels was a little tiring. It is a little bit overlong. There is a lot of issues, and I'm mad that you can't get all of the remotes in a single run. If you mod Gex so that you can get all of the remotes in a single visit to the level, it would instantly shoot up a rank or two. Huge glow up between the first and second game here. Gex 2 is great. Gray says, my world for a new Gex game that's actually well written. My take is that that Gex should be Doom Guy's Cortana. And I'm not gonna elaborate on that. Go watch the playthroughs if you want to hear me talk about that. Where is Gex 3? Here we go. Gex 3. Gex 3. It's more Gex 2, but just a little bit worse. Yeah. I like the levels a lot. I like the themes of the worlds in Gex 3. But it's less polished, it controls less well, and it's like weirdly longer, and also Agent Triple Extra or whatever her name is, kind of cringy, kind of sex pesty vibes coming from Gex on that one. You know, I don't know. You could play the Gex games, or you could watch Austin Powers. Which one's a more efficient use of your time? That's the question I leave with you. Put it in the comments below. There's so few games for me to talk about. Yeah, Gex 3 is bloated. Bloated is a really good word to refer to that. I kind of want to get Sonic and like the bad games out of the way so that I can end on me talking about games I like. Guys, I'm putting them in order of playing them so that I can go through one after another, just bang them all out and try to get them out of here. Okay. Pokemon? Do you guys want me to rate Pokemon? Pokemon Mystery Dungeon DX is a really bad Sheeran the Wanderer game that I mostly played on auto, and I didn't like it very much. I did like the gay Doug Trio Polycule. The canonically gay Doug Trio Polycule I was a big fan of. Yeah. It was like after the 5th time the game flashed back to 3 lines earlier in the same scene that I was currently watching is where I needed to put my hand in my head and cry. But as Ruben says, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX is a game for babies. And it, like, I can't hate it because it's a game for babies. You know what I mean? That feels, This feels right for Pokemon Mystery Dungeon DX. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just a guy. I'm just a little guy. I don't know. That's where I'd put it. Crucify me in the comments if you're mad. Okay, let's just start going through Sonic games. Sonic the Hedgehog is a C-tier platformer. It's alright. Grace says, has a game ever made you genuinely cry, like in terms of a story being sad? Clair Obscur got really close. The stillness ending of Silent Hill 2 remake. Oh, Last of Us 2. Last of Us 2 made me sob like a child. That's about it. I'm trying to think of others. Returnal didn't make me cry, but I could see how it could make people cry. But yeah, Last of Us 2 and Clair Obscur are like probably the two games I've gotten closest to like crying while playing. Okay, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I am a noted Sonic the Hedgehog 2 hater. I think Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is kind of a bad game. I think that the changes to how you get to the secret stages are extremely tedious. I think the secret stages themselves are really tedious and bad. I think the levels are by and large more poorly designed than they are in Sonic 1. And I think the final boss is excruciatingly bad. And the fact that you have to fight 2 bosses in a row with no rings on an endless loop on a system with lives is really irritating. And I think that it's especially irritating that the way that a lot of people play Sonic 2 is by using tails and flying over everything. And I once again implore video games to make me play them, because the desire to just simply buy a game to circumvent all of its mechanics and not play it, I hate to say it, is pretty bad game design, fam. You should have to play the fucking game. And finding a way to not play the game does not make the bad game better. It just means you're not playing the bad game. Sonic CD. I mostly like it more than Sonic 1. It's got really great music in both versions. It's got really beautiful looking levels. I do think it's a little bit more tedious to progress in than Sonic and Sonic 2. But yeah, I just like it. I think it's visually very pretty. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like a thought. You know what I mean? Sonic CD is interesting. Hollow says, I don't like it. The levels feel like acid trips instead of actual places. I don't think any of the levels in Sonic feel like actual places. So I like the acid trip aesthetic of it because it's pretty. And like has good music. And the levels are mostly fun to explore, even if they're crazy. Like I like that aspect of it because like if I'm going to see like a tire spinning around on a gear in the desert, like I may as well be able to go to the future and the past in that. You know what I mean? Like no place in any Sonic game feels like a real place. Like every Sonic game is just a collection of floating rocks with grind rails between them. Like there is no Sonic the Hedgehog level in any of the Sonic games that feels like a real place. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's how I feel. Okay. Ooh, Sonic 3 and Knuckles is the best of the OG Sonic games. It's like Sonic CD, but with better levels that go by faster with clearer goals. Gex being higher is crazy. You guys I think Gex here. But if I do this, yeah, actually, yeah, maybe this is right. I do need to I might need to addendum this actually. Here. That's a better ranking. Cuz I do like Gex 2 more than I like Sonic 3. Maybe, I don't know. See, the thing is I don't think Sonic 3 and Knuckles is the second best C tier game on the list. This is legit the hardest placing on the tier list that we've done so far. This right here is the hardest game to parse. I'm putting that there. It's, no, I think Sonic 3 and Knuckles is better than Gex 2. Okay, that's fine. Everyone has played Sonic 3 and Knuckles. It's the best of the Sonics. It's okay. It's still irritating. It's a Sonic game. So many annoying death traps. Getting the secret stages is really tedious, etc., etc. Knuckles Chaotix is the worst game I played all year, and it made me want to eat nails. Go watch my Let's Play of it if you want to lose your fucking mind. Because I certainly did when I was playing Knuckles Chaotix. I think Knuckles Chaotix is maybe worse than Sonic Heroes. It's really, really, really bad. It is barely a video game. Sonic 3D Blast, people are going to get mad about this. I think I like it more than Sonic the Hedgehog 1, but less than Sonic CD. Sonic 3D Blast is a really interesting experiment. We played the director's cut, which was made by YouTuber Game Hut, who was the director for that game. This is a really interesting video game. The Genesis version is better than the Saturn version. It did make me horrifically motion sick, but as a video game, as an experiment, Sonic 3D Blast is really interesting. In terms of level design, the Saturn version does have cool music, that is true, Gray, but the levels look really muddy and are bad. Sonic 3D Blast has about the same degree of, like, in terms of platformer design, same general level of competence as Sonic 1 and Sonic CD. It's just that the levels look really bad, which is fine. They do look really bad. But I really enjoyed it, and it was short, and it was interesting to go through. The special stages suck, though. Fun facts. And losing all of your rings in that game is like an actual fucking curse. Sonic Adventure. It's better than some Sonic games and worse than others. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. It's like Sonic Adventure. It's better in some ways and worse in others. The Chao Garden is a waste of time. It is made to pad out the game. It does not actually have mechanics. It is there to ruin your life. The story in these games suck. The levels in these games suck. The objectives in these games suck. Going through multiple character playthroughs of mostly doing the same thing across the same levels sucks. Why do people like these games? I will never understand. You can watch my playthroughs where I slowly went insane playing it. Sonic Heroes is really bad. The Chao Garden Slander? What do you do in the Chao Garden? What do you actually have control over? You give your Chao stats. It randomly gets an assortment of them. Then you make it play games that you can't participate in. And it will randomly win or lose. And then, when it spits your Chao back at you, you have to treat it nice, and then go back into the grind. And how do you get more animals to increase your character stats? You replay levels. The Chao Garden is a scam. It is a psyop. The Chao Garden is the government putting fluoride in your water to brainwash you. I know there are multiple Chao Gardens. They all suck. They all suck. All of them are bad. They exist just to make you spend more time playing a game that's bad. That's all they exist for. The Chao Garden made you think of Tamagotchi? Tamagotchis have more gameplay than the Chao Garden. At least you have some actual responsibility with a Tamagotchi. I'm done with this conversation. Shadow the Hedgehog Reloaded is a director's cut fan patch edit of Shadow the Hedgehog that fixes a lot of its issues. It makes it quicker. You do not need to go through all 380 whatever fucking routes to get the game. It's okay. It's like right here. Specifically Reloaded. Real Shadow the Hedgehog is probably F tier because it's broken and doesn't work. But over here, it's probably... It's actually like right here, maybe. Yeah. It's like right here. That's... Didn't break C tier and needs more of the gas that makes you evil. It's true. Ruben says, I formally apologize for saying Sonic the Hedgehog doesn't have the best music in the series. Truly, it does have the best music. Better than SA1 or 2 is insane. I don't know, man. Reloaded is faster. It might be worse. It might be worse, but I think it was better. I don't know. Actually, it might be worse. I don't know. It's like this, maybe. It's like around here. But again, just Reloaded. Just Reloaded. Not real Shadow the Hedgehog. Original Shadow the Hedgehog probably would be terrible. Sonic 06. Yeesh. Haley says, I'm also calling you nuts for saying Heroes is awful. Heroes is one of the worst video games I've ever played, Haley. It's one of the worst video games I've ever played. Sonic 06 is also one of the worst video games I've ever played. The game hardly worked. It would be worse than Chaotix if it made me more motion sick than Chaotix. It might be like right here. I don't know. Yeah, it might. It's like right there. I think 06 is better than Heroes, maybe. I played Legacy of Solaris, which is a patch that fixes a lot of the issues, but not all of them. Like, these three are 0 out of 10 video games. So, like, it's like you can't rate them comparative to each other because there's no gradient to it. They're just all the worst thing that I would rather stab myself in the face than play. Let's talk about my second favorite game of the year, The Root Trees Are Dead. Holy fuck. This game, I'm like mad I didn't play it last year when it came out, so I couldn't put it on my list last year. This game fucking rules. This game was... I was full conspiracy theorist playing this video game. The puzzles in this game rock. I loved using the computer. Who doesn't love playing on the computer? Root Tree Sweep, damn straight. No, this game was like the most psychotic fun I've ever had on stream, becoming a madman live on stream for you guys. Root Trees Are Dead was excellent. I loved this game. And I think I like it more than Blue Prince because it doesn't overstay its welcome the way that Blue Prince does. I think Blue Prince is like impeccably well designed, but I also think Root Trees Are Dead is impeccably well designed, just in a different way. Yeah, it's like, it is such a good deduction puzzle game. I loved that game. And it's also like an indie game made by like 1 or 2 people, you know what I mean? Like, it's amazing. Grace says, Blue Prince a Myst-like? It's Myst if Myst was a roguelike, and also if it snorted a bunch of coke and then inherited a mansion and went on a conspiracy theory about the like aristocracy. Blue Prince is like one of the most well-designed puzzle games ever made, and so is The Root Trees Are Dead. These two are like dead heat linked. If they both came out in the same year, it would be a bloodbath. Again, in a world where Clair Obscur does not exist, and Root Trees Are Dead came out in 2025, then Blue Prince and Root Trees Are Dead would be competing for Game of the Year. 2 puzzle game contenders for Game of the Year in a normal year. Can you imagine that world? We are spoiled for choice, my friends. unraveling the mystery, and then Root Tree Mania was wild. I loved Root Tree Mania. Like, going through Root Tree Mania and having to rework my hypothesis about what happened to the root trees was absolutely bananas. It was awesome. What an awesome game. This game made me feel like a just 1,000 IQ genius. Yeah, I loved this game. Okay, let's talk about a bad game. Dead by Daylight. I don't understand this game's appeal, and I don't understand this game's community. I have never played a game where a community hates its game more than Dead by Daylight. The discourse around Dead by Daylight is insane to me. I was talking to Blazer loves Dead by Daylight. I've been trying to understand this game because you have a win state of either escaping or, if you're a killer, winning, I guess. But apparently going after people to kill them is considered bad sportsmanship because it's tunneling. Ruben says Root Trees was this year. It originally came out in 2024, and Root Tree Mania came out this year. But so if you go on Reddit and try to read about Dead by Daylight, it makes no sense, because if you focus on killing people, you're called a tunneler and a griefer. But if you focus on going to generators, which are your win condition as a player, you're called gen rushing. And there's no ranked mode, even though there is MMR technically and it's hidden. Dead by Daylight's design makes no fucking sense in my brain. It is a game... I think it's friend slot. It's a game you just queue up with your buddies and play. It's like COD player matches. What do they think players should be doing? Losing to your sick mind games. Like, when you lose, it's everyone else's fault, and when you win, it's because you're a god. Like, that's Dead by Daylight. But that's my take. Maybe someone who's better at Dead by Daylight would know what to say. If you think I'm a noob, put it down below. I don't really care. I play as Alucard and Dracula, because Castlevania, and that's it. Everyone in that game looks like a weird bug-eyed freak. Let's talk about games I really like. I'm going to start with the worst. The worst Hoyo game is Honkai Third Impact. Honkai Impact Third. I don't remember what it's called. It's like here-ish. Honkai Impact Third is what if Bayonetta was a gacha? And that explains the whole thing. It's got a lot of booby schoolgirls in it. Brew came in my room to say he's leaving. Sorry about that. I was having a conversation. Brew and Sugi are going to a concert in San Francisco, so they have to leave. Honkai Impact Third is what if Bayonetta was a gacha. You go through linear levels, fighting groups of enemies with character action movesets that you pull off the gacha in the form of waifus. It has a pretty okay story as it goes on. It's not as good as the future Hoyo games, but it paved the way for their style. It has its only women, so I just am not, I'm not there's one male character, his name's Kevin. Hope that helps. Let's talk about Zenless Zone Zero. Zenless Zone Zero is interesting because it simultaneously has a really unique identity. It is another character action game. It is a squad-based character action game where you're swapping between party members, just like Honkai Impact Third. It's awesome. It's got a great look, great aesthetic. It's sort of like future sci-fi dystopia, but also with furries. It is the most Gooner-tastic Gooner game that anyone's ever played. Everyone in this game is hot. It's awesome. The story is really weak. It is the most slice of life of all of the Hoyo games. It started with this TV mode mechanic that they later removed from the game, and as they've been amping up the main patch story, it ends up becoming kind of like a shonen battle anime. I do take issue with the fact that there's only like 8 dudes. I think it's up to 10 now. I think there's 10 dudes in the cast total, and everyone else is just anime babes. There's only 2 full Beast Theron, or 3 full Beast Theron, soon to be 4. And 2 of them are women and 2 of them are men. And then there's 2 robot dudes who are cool, and then everyone else is Neko Mimi, basically. The gameplay is really good, and I like the gameplay of it. You're just running through quick levels, doing combo-based, reaction, parry-based gameplay. It's sick. It's got a great aesthetic. It looks amazing. But it's also just like, it's struggling with its identity. It really wants to chase the same bag that Star Rail and Genshin are chasing. But it can't, because it had too many rough edges at first. And they've slowly been sanding off those rough edges over time. But in sanding off those rough edges, they've slowly filed down the identity of the game and made it into like dangerously, teeteringly close to being just another waifu gacha slop game. And that disappoints me. Put more men in the game, you cowards. Put more beast men in the game, you cowards. I'm talking full ass furries. Same with the women. Put more furry ladies in for the straight furries. God rest their souls. You have a world with animal people and you just give them ears and tails. Fuck you. Give them snouts. Stop being. Is it scary? They're scared. Just do it. Okay. Honkai Star Rail is really good. It is a genuinely good JRPG with a gacha system attached to it. We're not going to talk about the complicated gacha elements. You can play them free to play, perfectly fine. The narrative in Honkai Star Rail is really, 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 really good. The voice acting in Chinese and English is really, 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 really good. I haven't played it in Japanese, so I don't know about Japanese. It has an actually good story. Its characters are genuinely charming and interesting. It has probably my favorite cast of any JRPG other than Clair Obscur for the past decade. Like, I love those characters. It has a bevy of side quests, tons of cool worlds that all feel really distinct and different from each other. It is an awesome video game. It is so weird how JRPGs were just completely uninnovative and just a dying genre for so long, just the most derivative slop for forever, and then Star Rail comes out and is actually intriguing. It is actually intriguing. It is a cool, well-written, interesting world with good lore and good characters and a really fun build craft and team comp that isn't too crazy. Is it a gacha game? Yeah. Does it have gacha grinding? Yes. But other than that, it's an awesome fucking game. It's an awesome game. And that's where I also put Genshin. I fucking love Genshin Impact. I got into this game this year and it saved my fucking life. This game is fantastic. Hi, Zam. Thank you for the 21 months. Genshin is Breath of the Wild if there was actual, like, interesting narrative and things to do in Breath of the Wild. Yeah, Blazer says, not only is Star Rail a good game, it can be played on mobile so easily. This actually is impactful. I think I've talked about it before, but I think it's really, really important that phone games are also good. Because for years, phone games have been limited to being, like, there are AAA experiences on phones, don't get me wrong, but they've been limited to somewhat derivative, you know, indie puzzle games. Let's be real. That's what 95% of phone games are. And then there's sometimes are narrative games, and there are sometimes other cool stuff. But like 9 times out of 10, the most popular games on phones are 2D or low quality 3D, bite-sized puzzle games. Star Rail, Genshin, Honkai Impact 3rd, and Zenless are all fucking full meat, free ass, good looking, good playing games. If these games released on PlayStation Vita in 2012, they would have a diehard fan base saying they're overlooked gems. And that is important. It is important to have good games on devices that people normally discredit. And yeah, now we're getting AAA ports on iPhones, which is also awesome. Resident Evil 4 just came out on iPhone. Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake, I think, are on iPhone as well. That shit fucking slaps, and people should be more willing to spend money on games on their mobile devices. If they don't have other platforms to play them on. We should be happy. We should be celebrating that phone games are good. Anyway, Sorry We're Closed is a really amazing survival horror game that came out last year. It's neon-drenched PS1 throwback survival horror about angels and devils and the internet and romance and love. And Sorry We're Closed just kicks so much ass. Just one of the, if not the best survival horror game I've played in a while. I like it more than I like Silent Hill F. Weirdly, talks about a lot of the same issues, not quite the same, but very similar. Hey, it's like the best British thing I've played in a while, so that's kind of cool. So, if you want to see the dystopian dating hellscape that is England, play Sorry We're Closed. Really amazing video game. Is it possible to win or survive in Sorry We're Closed? Yeah, it is. Okay. The last game I am putting on this list is Old School RuneScape. Old School RuneScape is really fucking good, guys. And I was a hater for so long, and I didn't believe, and then I played it, and it took over my life for 7 months. RuneScape is... I grew up thinking RuneScape was a browser game that people too poor to play real games played. And in reality, RuneScape is one of the most complexly designed, interwoven, lateral progression MMO Troidvanias ever made. This game is crazy good. And I'm still playing my Iron Man occasionally. I'm going to try to get back to it in the start of the new year. I have nothing but good things to say about RuneScape. It is a surprisingly well-designed game, full of heart, kind of owned by its community, with a dev team that really gets it and really understands that they have a huge commitment to the people that play its game. And it is without a doubt the best MMO I've played, maybe since Final Fantasy XI, maybe ever. And it's not even much of an MMO. You don't really play with other people. It's fucking awesome. This game fucking rules. And also, it's a really good phone game. You can play this shit on your phone. So yeah, that's all 57 games I played this year. How crazy is that? If you disagree with the placement of any of these games, put it in the comments below. I probably will as well when I decide that I ranked something wrong and want to change it. As always, I had a lot of fun streaming with you all. I did not stream as much as I wanted to, but I'm looking to record more offline LPs this year, make streaming more of a special occasion, make some cool videos, and I just really look forward to seeing what we play next year. So as always, thank you so much for watching.